It's a thing. We're starting right now. We're doing it live. We are doing it live. What's up? What's up, everybody, man? Yes, it is so good to be back with my boy, the Don. Episode 3. Man, it seemed like we should have been like on episode 8 or something by now. But
Man, I've been gone for a while.
yeah, you've been out there, been chasing out them yaks out there in Cambodia, man. How does that yak titty milk taste?
No, well, I'm making some cheese for you guys, so I'll be shipping it out to you soon.
Nice, 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 nice. I definitely will have somebody else try it. I don't know.
You make grilled cheese sandwiches out of that stuff. It's good stuff.
Is that what that is? Okay, all right. He said
I
cheese
don't know.
sandwich. Yeah,
I wouldn't eat that stuff if my life
I
depended on it. I would
would
starve.
not. I would not mess with that at all. Hell no. They look unsanitary. They all hairy and nasty. Okay, anyway, we going left. Yeah,
They're
for
always
real.
in third world countries, and I think that's the reason why.
Yeah, but yeah, no, okay. Anyway, welcome everybody. Man, the dev and the gamer is back, and it's my boy, the Don. Go ahead and introduce yourself to anybody that's new to this podcast.
Yeah, the Dawn, small time developer, more on the indie side of things, but trying to make it big, of course, and taking a different approach. I like to talk to the actual gamer and associate with gamers, and breaking that third wall and just being just as much as part of the community, and as along with developing. So
Yeah. No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. And as for me, I'm Kmega 405. This is the more subtle, personal, intimate podcast. So it's not so much as it's me being rah-rah like on multiplayer or just all shits and giggles when it comes to GRG or Next or whatever. But here, we just want to get more of Don's take, from a developer's point of view, and then I give my take as a gamer, and hope you guys enjoy what we do. So anyway, let's get on to the first topic, and that's talking about the big thing going on right now, and that is Destiny 2 and this whole parity situation. Some people think it's got to do with the marketing deal. Some people just think that these systems are underpowered. Also, I've even heard that because Bungie never ever made a 60 frames per second game before, they probably don't know how to do it, which I think that's ridiculous. But, and then lastly, it's just that the Scorpio is just not going to cut it. Just everybody thinks that the Scorpio has been, anybody that's talked good about the Scorpio is wolfing tickets. So, Don, what do you think about this whole thing with Destiny 2?
There's many aspects. I think one of the biggest things I always try to live by is it's important how you act and not how you react to situations. And I really feel like everything that I've seen out there, and these are my friends, these are people I play with, people I have a lot of respect for, especially in the Xbox community, because they have a certain expectation when it comes to Scorpio. And that I would say that are also, tend to be a little sensitive because the other fan base can be a little harsh, right?
Mm-hmm, yes.
Yeah. So like, there's just a couple things that, and then you have the whole Ryan McCaffrey tweet talking about, he doesn't think that there will be 60 frames per second based on the marketing deal they have with Sony and stuff like that. So I just feel like it literally, like I just came back from great time, got to shake a lot of hands in the game industry. Play a lot of games of golf. It's a game of shaking. Playing golf and shaking hands, right? That's how you get into be known by some of these people, right?
Right.
And I come off this high, and I come back to this, and it's literally been a facepalm for like 2 days straight. Like, what are people doing? I guess the first thing to comment on is the marketing thing that, and I 100% don't think that has anything to do with frame rate parity between any pieces of hardware on either side. To be honest with you, mostly the reason why I say that is was signed probably well before even Scorpio was even announced.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, I thought it was, as far as I understand, it was part of the original signing they had with Destiny, because it was a multi-year deal before we even knew that Destiny 2 was coming out. Now, I can be totally wrong on that. Deals are not signed with addendums to make it run worse on other platforms. Otherwise, there would be a cap on PC, which there isn't, right?
Right.
Which is primarily a Microsoft platform as well, right? So, you got to kind of keep that in perspective, right? Deal was signed before probably the announcement of Scorpio. You have an example of another platform being PC, where it is, it's not affected by the marketing deal, even though it's primarily a Microsoft platform in itself. So the marketing deals are totally not usually, I would say, completely unrelated to this issue of like a parity on frame rate. Statement that was said was along the lines of all consoles are going to be 30 frames per second. However, Bungie's under an NDA right now, and they can only speak towards the actual current consoles that are out, which includes standard Xbox, Xbox One S, and PlayStation Pro.
Mm-hmm.
The Scorpio, how it's currently running, is they can't talk about it until after E3.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why it's a unique situation, because Bungie's talking about Destiny before E3. If they announced everything at E3, I'm up. If that makes any sense.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Yeah, that statement would be 100% true. So you kind of see where people are just, and then you have some people that are like, well, I buy a Scorpio, it better be 60 frames per second. Not every game is going to be 60 frames per second.
No. Especially Scorpio. Big, open world games. That's no. If anybody thought that every game was going to be 60 frames per second, they're fooling themselves. It's just that when it comes to fighters, shooters, racers, you have to definitely have those type of. You have to have 60 frames per second, because that's it just feels so much better, and you get a better response and everything. With those frame rates. But when you come to open world games like Grand Theft Auto, things like that, it really doesn't matter that much. I think there's more, you want to play the game and then have like those sweet visuals.
Well, I think also too, when you have to think about games in general, right?
Mm-hmm.
So essentially how they're designed, right? And usually they're designed from the ground up, either 60 frames per second in mind, or typically 30. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And we also got the statement from Bungie telling us that on the PC it's uncapped. They didn't say it could be 60. They just said it was uncapped, right? So they may not even hit the target frame rates exactly perfectly, and they may have to utilize FreeSync or G-Sync to really significantly take advantage of that as well, right? So additional proprietary hardware on top of that, and they may not even hit 60 frames per second. In regards to that. So there's all these aspects that people are just assuming a lot of stuff. They also, Bungie, they also got criticized for never having a 30 frames per second, anything more than 30 frames per second game, which is true. But you have to keep in mind, I'm not trying to give an excuse to Bungie or anything like that. They build their games very AI heavy, which taxes the CPU a lot. And CPUs haven't really evolved, even though we've been talking about Ryzen and all this other crap recently.
Yeah.
These really have been at a standstill for quite a while, actually. They really haven't done significant improvements. Minor, small things, but no real quantum leap, nothing like in the comparison that you see on the GPU side of things. So you got a situation where CPUs have kind of petered out a little bit on becoming better. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You have a situation where you have a game company that's known for really heavy AI, and you got to give Bungie credit where credit's due. Their AI in their games is phenomenal, right?
Right.
So, that's part of what makes their games fun to play. So they build everything around and everything in mind with 30 frames per second, right? Mm-hmm. Now, if they wanted to, they can target 60, but they probably would scale back on a little bit on the artificial intelligence, and you get more of AI characters like you would see in a Call of Duty game, right?
Right.
I don't think anybody that plays a Bungie game really wants that, right?
No.
So, So people are just coming from a place of expectation, but not at a place of understanding. And we still don't know if it can hit 60 or not on the Scorpio. What we don't know is also what engine they're using as well. At least I haven't seen anything publicly mentioned, but
I don't know. It looked like it's the same engine, just a little bit polished. I've even, I've seen part of the trailer. I haven't seen all of the trailer because I'm not that big of a Destiny fan. But from my understanding from people that like Fonzarelli and All Day, and even Mooch that love this game, they say that it's kind of reminds them of a 1.5. Like it doesn't seem like it's an actual true sequel. It looks like it's just better things, from everything that they got right for the first one, that they just enhanced it and put a little polish on it from their understanding. But of course, nobody has played it.
Yeah, from my visual understanding, it looks very similar to that, and I don't think that's an unfair description, right?
Mm-hmm.
But people forget that you can take assets from a game, engines, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're just files, right? And the way those engines handle those assets are different per engine. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's why certain engines have a kind of a certain look to it, or a certain look when they apply lighting or shadowing and stuff like that. There's a certain look you almost can identify. The main reason why I say we don't know exactly what engine it is, at least to the best of my knowledge, because I haven't done much homework on it, but I can tell you when I was at GDC, I sat through a conference. This is not under NDA. People can actually look on the internet and find all this stuff, right? It was about different compression techniques, right? Utilizing within game engines of this company that has these particular compression techniques, and really kind of removes a lot of the overhead on the GPU and CPU with the different compression techniques they have, and with no loss of quality. Right? So it's the next step of compression for gaming when it comes to texture maps and things like that. And one of the examples they gave was a Destiny character running on Unreal Engine, right? So that leads me to believe maybe they even toyed around with that engine at least a little bit. If you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
If it's running on Unreal does really great lighting effects, which would be ideal for Destiny. And people don't realize this. Unreal is, and I get all the updates and stuff like that in regards to Unreal. Unreal is adopting more and more stuff, literally bi-monthly, of DX12 and Vulkan.
Mm.
And we all know DX12 is a big portion of what makes up the Scorpio.
Oh, no, you can't talk about the DirectX 12. That's that lost unicorn. That's not real.
Right?
Yeah, for real.
Not people don't want to live in denial. So,
right.
The way DX12 is designed the Scorpio in basically what they refer to as the GPU controller, it reduces the amount of basically tasks for the CPU down to 12 or 16 or something along those lines, versus thousands, right? That's a lot of overhead is removed and unbound from the CPU. So that can be applied to other things, if that makes any sense.
No, that makes sense. So
if you're able to free that up, the possibilities of running a higher frame rate are there if they're utilizing the features of DX12 and how many features they are using. So we don't really know the final thing. I don't want to get people's hopes up and say, hold out, it's going to be 60. I don't know. I didn't make the game, right?
Right.
It's possibly can be 60 versus 30, but if it is 30, right, it has nothing to do with the other consoles holding this console back. It has to do with how they built the game, right? They build their games AI heavy, and that's part of what makes their games so fun. So they're going to apply those visuals in different ways where they have some overhead they can play around with. I mean, that's kind of how all that. And people just assume or take granted that 60 frames per second is the answer for every game. It simply isn't.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing. It's there's something that Gary's Take is saying, and it's perfectly said. He's like, I think the reason some expect 60 frames per second is because we know it's possible. Parity, for fairness, is just straight up really bullshit. There will always be advantages. Gamers just need to improve their game their game and buy up, which I totally agree. Look, I mean, as powerful as the Scorpio is going to be, still is not in comparison of PC if you really want to spend the dollars. If you really want to have the best of the best, you're coming out of thousands, but the PC will still be more powerful. This is what makes the Scorpio so fascinating, is the fact that there's no console that's ever been like it in the sense of, all the power and all of that. So a lot of people, they might have really high expectations of every game should be this way, but what is just like Killer Phil has said, it's just like Mike Ibarra has said, it's so many others that said, look, it's up to the developers. They're the ones that's going to make this happen. So I just don't want to hear people bitch and blame Microsoft or the Scorpio because a developer is going this direction and think that it's best that this game is going to be that frames per second.
Well, exactly. I mean, this is, just from you and me, we both game, right? And we all both played Bungie games in the past, and I think we're at different levels of how we accept Destiny and stuff like that. I have definitely a lot more hours than you, but I would say I'd had equal amount of enjoyable hours as you, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no.
So, but at the end of the day, when you play a Bungie game, you not want dumb AI, and a lot of times you're at a compromise. Either I can. But I would have to take away from this. Does that make sense? There's always a finite amount of resources regardless of how powerful a console is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to utilize what's there smartly so it plays towards the strengths of essentially what you're trying to build.
Right.
And I don't know about you, but do you want a Bungie game at 60 frames per second, but the AI is pretty much mediocre like any other first-person shooter?
No. And I think because it's not a fast-paced game, because you got to do, you could have it 60 frames per second and still grind, but I think the reason why it's a slower-paced game. It's not built for being like really fast, like if you're playing like Halo or Overwatch, any of those type of games where they need to be 60 in order, for if somebody has a speed advantage. I'm saying this is more of a co-op. I know they got the Crucible, and I don't really know how effective the Crucible is going to be. I know a lot of people jumped on it, but then it kind of died out, and then, the raids and things like that is the more important things with Destiny, from my understanding. So,
Crucible is absolutely the worst part when it comes to like all the major components of Destiny. Yeah, it's a mere shadow of what Bungie has ever done as far as multiplayer goes.
It was fun at first, when I first played it, but then once you play the game for a little while, you come back, and then there's somebody that's like OP, and then it doesn't make any sense. Like they just got all the weapons; they're just more powerful. They didn't put any balance in the Crucible, so. Hopefully they'll do that this time, but I'm still not going to be that interested in it. Like I said, it's not my cup of tea, but, knowing me, I'll still give it an opportunity just because I know that, people that I game with is going to get it, and if I get into the co-op part of it, I'll be fine.
So I mean, you have a little bit of understanding now, like why some of these things people are reacting to, though, or kind of just to everybody else that's like in the know, just like, what are you guys doing? I mean, do you have a better understanding now?
Yeah, I have a definite understanding. Yeah, and I hope the people that are listening got a better understanding as well, because look, it is what it is. I mean, I just don't. I watched a couple of videos, some more pro PlayStation people, and they come out and the first thing they're saying is this is Xbox fault. They lied to people. They're liars. They're this and that, and they're already pushing out a narrative so they could have. People that are excited for the Scorpio to try to, just take away the shine. It's a bunch. It's garbage. I don't. Anything positive that comes from the PlayStation, you got to give it credit due. Like, look, I'm not a fan of. Well, I can't say I'm not a fan of Persona 5. I like Persona 4. I just haven't played 5. I just get tired of everybody telling me that it's the best successful thing next to sliced bread.
I feel the same way about Uncharted series. Yeah. And I know it's very beloved, and don't let my opinion take away from your enjoyment of the game, right? Like, that's stupid as well. but not everyone's gonna like every game. I mean, it's just at the end of the day, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah. What's up, Shadows and Intro Media Gaming in the house? My boy Young Kano. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna have to get you on GRG sometime. You too, Shadows. You know what I'm saying? So we can all chop it up sometime. Yeah, I totally. That's what I'm yeah. B Shadow said, "What's up, Don?"
Yeah, I did. I said I'm not doing too bad.
Oh, you already typing. I didn't know you was watching the chat. Okay.
Yeah, I already hit her. You already knows what's up.
Yeah, but no,
I feel like I'm B Shadows in the room, man. That guy's got so much bass. It's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. So, but let's go on to the next topic, man. I mean, we can beat it till it's dead in the face, or beat it because it's a dead horse. I don't know, whatever the hell that little saying is. But regardless, we'll find out everything at E3. We'll find out right then and there, because damn sure there's going to be a lot of people going to ask questions and get all the answers for us once that game gets shown in action.
I think it's definitely going to shake up everything across the board. Certain things people are going to assume, and vice versa. But it's nice to have all that set straight. I'm more excited about that. Mm-hmm. So people just have a better understanding. And honestly, the development community is excited about the hardware, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, having more powerful hardware on the market, and this is something for PlayStation guys to be excited for. It breeds competition. It allows, which I think the biggest thing where Sony can really improve on their hardware is their development tools for the pro. Their hardware, guess what? Games get better across all platforms.
Mm-hmm.
The standard for PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One S. And I know it sounds like I'm trying to paint this utopia world, but that's really kind of how it is. More powerful hardware always helps the lesser powerful hardware on there, as long as it's within a certain spec. And that happens with PCs all the time. The reason why our games look so good now is because of having more powerful rigs that create amazing assets for games, and then basically to optimize them for the hardware that you're going to put them on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, Gary's asking me about the Star Ocean game coming to the Xbox? From my understanding, it is. Now, there was two Japanese games that were coming to the Xbox, and I know that I would swear that Star Ocean is one of them, because I was kind of excited about it. I cannot think what the other one was. I can't think of it. I gotta look it up. But it is, it again, Xbox is listening to the fans and bringing these games in. Now we're going to see if people will stand up for what they've been talking about and start buying these games, because you know what, you can't bitch if you're going to bitch about it and then you don't support these games. Then why should they listen to you? Don't do all this. But then, of course, there's a lot of other people from the other side that's doing all the complaining, and then they listen to them. And that comes on to our next topic, man, and that is the disgruntled gamer. Jesus, man, like, it's so ridiculous to me to hear some of my Xbox brethren tout the same things that they hear from these PlayStation trolls or from PC trolls or just trolls in general. If you're enjoying gaming, if you grab your Xbox controller, PlayStation controller, PC, whatever, and you play it and you enjoy it, why the hell should it matter what anybody else say? When people tell me that Xbox got no games, I laugh every damn time, because I have over 350 games in my Xbox, and sometimes I look and I just get like, oh shit, I got too much, so I just turn on the television for a second, or I'll get on the PC or turn on the PlayStation, something. But
is it mind blowing when you go back and you look at it, like, man, I played through that one. I played through that. Oh crap, there's a ton I haven't even got a chance to try, because it's the byproduct of games of gold, and by games you ultimately want to do, and you get sucked into one versus another. And we're definitely been eating well for the last 3 years.
Yes, right? Indeed.
I mean, see, I'm and this sounds funny, but like I have games I still have to like go through. Like I got pulled away from remember Recore? right? So I got pulled away from Record. I actually doesn't mean I didn't like Quantum Break, but I enjoyed Record better than Quantum Break. I like both of the games, but I enjoyed Record a little bit better, right? And I know they have an update with the new bot, and they're going to have HDR support, right? So I just said, you know what? I'm just going to shelve it until the update happens, right? And I'm going to play it that way. It's just kind of how all that goes. I mean, it just is what it is. I don't know. I don't know why people that don't even relate to you on the same level, right? They don't like the same stuff you do, right? Like people that listen to us, do they even want to be on YouTube, right? That doesn't like the same products as you, that you can't relate to, and let them rate a game for you and make your buying purchase based off of that. That sounds so ridiculous, right?
Right.
You want to find somebody that does enjoy similar products as you, right? That's able to give you good advice of something you will enjoy or willing to take a risk on. In regards to that. And what's interesting now is we got this situation where it's like the games are not even out yet. And we're letting people of one fan base dictate your enjoyment most, right?
Yeah.
And most people that, that one fan base versus another, most of those people that are being brought down, like, platform, just not as much, right? You see how ridiculous that just sounds to me. In general, I have my favorite, and honestly, just like any other developer, right? But on my checklist of things that I enjoy, my console preference is a couple steps down, right? Maybe somebody else that doesn't develop games, they may move theirs up a little bit higher. For me, it's my own personal project. That's a much higher priority, or just noticeable visuals, not necessarily this whole resolution argument that's happened and it's going to continue to happen back and forth.
Right.
It's about those sort of things, and my console preference is still on there. It's just a little further down the list than some of these other guys, right? And some of these other people it's a little higher, but that personal preference should never have to be justified by another audience that doesn't even relate to you.
Exactly. And that's the one thing. There's people that's been complaining to me, because of, Crap Gamer was saying on Xbox Nation the other day, and we had a really good time on this show. It was pretty cool.
He runs a good show. He keeps it moving.
Yeah, he keeps it moving. He keeps it really high professional, man. I'm just telling you. But he was talking about the PlayStation VR. He was touting it, talking about how much he enjoyed it. He was wrong about disrespecting it like he did. And you know what? And that's the one thing that you have to respect. If somebody says something bad about a certain thing, and then they come out and they actually play it or use it, whatever, and then they change it, that should be commended. That shouldn't be ridiculed. And now, I got people that's coming to me and saying, look, I'm about to unsub because, he's talking like a pony and all this shit. Listen, pump your brakes. If there's anybody that's bleeding green out his veins, it's Crap Gamer. But the fact of it is that
his enjoyment of VR has nothing to do with his preference on Xbox.
It is, and you know what? But another thing that adds to that, though, is what we're talking about, and that is the doom and gloom scenario, and it takes a toll because I hear it all the time. I get messages all the time from somebody that just come out the blue. Scorpio sucks, Kmega. You a liar. You're a fraud. And then I laugh at the insults, but when it comes to just constant, it's not. It's fake. You're lying. It gets to you.
A friend or a peer, somebody you enjoy gaming with, or somebody you enjoy listening to. For other reasons, right? And you see him just kind of bring them down, like that's not healthy, right? And there's good, as I said, there's good friends that I've been on podcasts and things like that. They say they listen to me, I listen to them, all that sort of stuff. But somebody that's just trying to chip away at holes in someone else's enjoyment of something, it shouldn't have any bearing. Yeah, but people are letting that get to them. Does that make sense?
No, yeah, it makes perfect sense.
I personally am not. I feel Japanese development has fallen quite a bit behind.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
That's a personal opinion of mine. It comes from my own personal background in gaming and things like that, and also on the development side. But that opinion should never from enjoying something from Platinum Games. It should never affect that at all. My approval of that game should not affect their enjoyment. They should just go out there and enjoy that game and realize that's something that we're not going to, and go have fun, right? I mean, that's realistically how it should be. But I know that stuff bugs them because they retaliate when someone says anything to the contrary that it's something they enjoy, and that shouldn't be the case. No one's ever going to enjoy everything.
No, and that's fine for somebody to tell me, look, I'm just not into the interface of the Xbox, or I'm just not this way or that way. But don't tell me that the Xbox has no games. Because now you wasn't saying all of that when PlayStation was going through their sparse moments, when the media was over here catering to the sparse era of the PlayStation 4 and saying that it was a good thing, while Xbox was going out, was giving their games, and then everybody was saying that their games sucked because they were 720p. Now, because PlayStation brought most of their delayed games to 2017, now it's, the games are here, and it's this and that. But then, like the Mighty Tekken, which I cannot wait to play, will be 900p. That would have normally been a huge story, front page in gaming news, but now you hear less and less and less of that, because now we're getting into the reverse roles of where the Xbox is outperforming the PlayStation, and you don't hear anything. I want to hear better journalism. I want to hear better YouTubers, or I should say YouTubers, be better about this. Like, look, I'm an Xbox guy, but if PlayStation does something well, look, give them their props. They're doing the work. You know what I mean? Nintendo is kicking ass right now. You may not like Nintendo, Don, but Nintendo is doing work, and I think Nintendo is here to stay with the Switch. I really do. I know that you feel differently, but
and that's,
you got to give credit where credit is due. That's all I'm saying.
It's like I'm willing to look at it at the 6-month mark, right? Because that's where you look at it historically, on exception of the Wii. That's when their sales dramatically drop for Nintendo. Mm-hmm. So their fan base is, they'll go out and get it, right, early on. So the momentum and the long-term success that would determine Nintendo, because they're in the category of their own, they can't keep putting themselves in this category they own. Mm-hmm. You have to wait until after 6 months to really determine if they're going to be successful. 7 months, that 7th month will be definitely a huge window of how the overall public has accepted it, and that's good. Like, I hope that it does flourish in those areas, and it does find its audience with the dev teams that want to work on it and stuff like that. I hope that people are also critical about it, so it becomes less expensive to put games on there, that sort of thing. So there's a lot of things. I mean, I don't wish any piece of hardware failure. Actually, I kind of wish Nintendo games were on other platforms, to be honest with you, because
yeah, I do too.
Yeah, because the reality is, like, if you're able to separate the hardware from the software, right, and just look at the games and you look at hardware, I think most of us are more in love with their software than we're actually in love with their hardware at the end of the day. And so that's what makes me wish that they were on other platforms, because it's hard for me to justify wanting to get their hardware. But that's either there. It's my opinion. It's what they have to do to earn me as a customer. And if you guys have earned it as a customer, you should enjoy it. And even if the sales drop or don't drop at that 6-month mark, that shouldn't affect your enjoyment of it. Enjoy. You don't need and why you like that, right? You don't need that reinforcement. You bought that thing for a reason.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if for anybody out there that listens to the hate and the bullshit, and straight up, just look. I spent my money on this product. I don't give a rat's ass about what you think. I really don't. I mean, and to me, in order for you to know what you like and what you don't like, you have to have some kind of familiar feel to it. Like, for instance, it took me a while to give me a PlayStation 4 because I just wasn't into it, but I would play on one constantly because I was always wanting to get the feel because I've always been a PlayStation fan. It's just that the 4 just hasn't been my cup of tea this generation. But if you have never played a PlayStation 4 and you say that you hate the PlayStation and you're not going to buy a PlayStation, then you sound ignorant. How are you going to hate something or dislike it if you've never even put your hands on it and played it for a great amount of hours? Or is this the same with the Xbox?
Well, for example, like I'm one of the few I think on the podcast that doesn't own a PS4 right now because as far as you buy it for exclusives if you already play multi-plats on the other platform, right? So and Uncharted's never resonated with me. It's never been a system seller for me personally. But Horizon Zero Dawn's one of them, and I think God of War is one of them. If they release it this year, I don't think they will, but if they do, great. And if it's a good God of War, I'm excited to play it. And all I need is that third title, and I really just haven't found that third title that makes me want to just go out and buy the hardware. And that's my rule. They have to have 3 pieces of software that are exclusive on that platform that justifies me buying it. But the thing is, I would probably have a little bit of a bitter pill or hate for the console if I bought it and it didn't have any games that I wanted to play on it, right? So I bridle in my own expectations of the hardware. Them not meeting the standard yet, right? It doesn't mean they won't. They absolutely will. I feel like they do work hard to earn the gamer's dollar when it comes to their exclusives.
Yeah, no,
definitely put the effort.
Yeah, and it's just like, okay, B Shadows is saying, he's like, come on, Don, the Uncharted 1 through 4 is amazing, but I'm with Don on that. I think it was the overhype for Uncharted 4 because I played it and it's beautiful, but it's more like it's not what I was expecting. I've beaten the second Uncharted and it had more action. It was more user friendly. But 4 is more like a cinematic movie thing, and I don't want to play a movie. I want to play an action because once I play something like Tomb Raider, I'm stuck on that. That's why I feel that Tomb Raider is a better game than Uncharted. Now, when it comes to the story aspect of it, I have not beat Uncharted 4, so I haven't I haven't got its full thing.
You better finish that, man. People are going to get on.
No, but I will say so far. But no, what I will say so far for what I played about Uncharted 4, the story seems better than Tomb Raider 2, but it don't seem nowhere in comparison to Tomb Raider 1. Tomb Raider 1's story was so good. Now, of course, I still got to go and play that, but for all the hype about this was like this fantastic game of all games, the best of the generation. I'm not there. So, but that's my opinion.
But it doesn't diminish that it's a good game, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think we all agree it's a good game.
Yeah. Oh, right? Yeah. No, it's a good quality game.
People like it. I just don't find any enjoyment out of Uncharted. I think the gun mechanics actually were for me personally, and it started with the first one because you remember PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, right around the same time as Uncharted 1. There was Gears gun mechanic just blew Uncharted out of the water. The pop and lock into the cover, all that sort of stuff that just blew everything out of the water. So my first impression with Uncharted was always that, and I always felt like the gun mechanics have always been off. Some people like it. It's no big deal. Like, B Shadows likes the game. You should enjoy it. Like, and I know he enjoys it, right? And it's just one of those games just where we're just going to be indifferent, but it shouldn't. I I know B Shadows is adult enough that he doesn't let that affect his enjoyment of the game.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I think he's more bummed that he can't share that experience with me, but that's something he enjoys. He's more bummed about that than anything else, right?
Right.
It just kind of is what it is. Like, people enjoy your games. There's nothing wrong with that. It's different opinions are encouraged. I listen to different opinions different than mine all the time, which it helps me make my games better. Even things I completely disagree with, I have to try to relate and understand where those people are coming from. So just in case I'm personally missing something, just as a person, and it allows me to be a better developer. And you never know, I may expand my range and enjoy more games. But
right.
It's all good stuff.
Right. Yeah. I dabble into a little bit of everything. I mean, I like card games. I like sports games. Fighting games. I like story-driven games. RPGs. I'm more accepting to the classic style turn-based system, more so than this new style.
I'm the opposite, right?
Right, and you're the opposite. Yeah.
Turn-based, like I just can't do it. And then when someone tries to explain to me why they like it, I'm like, I'm trying. It's like those people that have a hard time learning algebra, and like I have a hard time learning why people like turn-based RPGs.
Right.
It just is what it is, but it's fine though. Like I still want to hear your opinion, what you like. Like I've never really liked a Final Fantasy, right? But when the latest Final Fantasy and everyone was talking about it, I was intrigued by everyone telling me how much they enjoyed it.
Right.
Like I really was. I really want to know, because it was a radical difference from the previous one. And I know that was something I didn't understand the previous style of the turn-based. So, yeah, everyone, I don't know. I'm going off on a tangent, but
that's it. Let Don come back from his vacation and be ready to go. You said you was ready to go tonight, so
I'm a little frisky.
A little frisky. That's all right. I mean, but no, that's the whole thing. I think because people pound the narrative so bad, and I mean, you also got to blame the gaming media as well for pounding this same thing. They're using this for clicks. And it's taking a toll on some people, and then when they get on their channel, and you get to listen to a podcast or listen to some of these people's videos, that they'll start making things sound really like it's doom and gloom, and it's really not like that. I mean, but it's troubling. I will say that, and I know that
you say would you say that the media is completely out of touch with the gamer? I mean, would be a fair assessment.
I won't go that far. I think but I do think it's all driven by. It's all driven by this. I think because they chose one side, that they can't change back. Like they don't want to look like that they were the flip-flopper because, I don't know. I mean, what I'm saying, we know that a lot of people might get paid under the table or something like that. I don't know, but
it's not that. I mean, it's all generated by clicks, right?
So, right. Yeah. But they want to get paid.
So whatever brings the most drama, to be honest with you,
right,
is generating clicks, right? Which when you have that traffic, that's when you can put ad revenue up and stuff like that, and you gotta. People that write articles, they probably get incentives if they get X number of clicks and stuff like that, and they do really well, or a bonus or something like that. And then all it really takes is a couple of people that have a certain, that are like certain higher ups at these media like type sites that have a bias towards one or two things. It's not like a conspiracy theory or anything like that. Like it only takes one or two major editors, right, from two major platforms, probably the biggest platforms. And then everything's generated by clicks, and bonuses are generated by clicks and things like that. That's all it really takes to get this like lopsidedness that happens. But the problem is it's not sustainable, right? And people will call their crap out if they flip the other direction. So they're I don't think the media is in a very good spot at all.
No, they're not, and it's really sad because it's not what it used to be. I mean, if people that really paid attention to what the media was like, and one thing that I really hate, if there's something that aggravates me the most, is people, you go back to the last gen and says, well, the media was jumping all over the PlayStation 3, talking about resolution. There was look, nobody in these gaming streets back in the 360 era was saying anything about, yo, man, them resolutions look like dog shit, homie. Nobody was saying that shit.
They were a little harder. They were a little harder on the PlayStation 3, right?
Yeah, they were harder.
I admit it in regards to that, and I think that's an area where you can reach across from one fan base to the other and kind of openly admit that, right? But at the end of the day, now, okay. I got sick of it before, and I'm definitely sick of it now when it comes to the media. I really feel like they're holding the industry back.
Indeed.
Right?
Yeah.
I really feel like the media is like in that, that place EA and place Microsoft was 3 years ago, where they weren't customer first, right? And what they were doing, and that came to a boiling point with gamers that it blew up on. Obviously, we know how it blew up on Microsoft, and we also, EA was part of that fallout as well, right? So I really feel the media is at that place where they're just at a boiling point where, some gamers might not be saying anything, but man, it's a deck of cards. It's going to fall. I really do feel the next 2 or 3 years, one of the major ones is going to drop, because otherwise they wouldn't be doing articles like they are.
Yeah, no, and that's a good question, Newark. He was asking, like, what are the media, how is the media going to change? Or he wondering, is the media going to change in the next couple of years? I can't tell you. I think, look, last gen, yeah, the PlayStation got pounded, but rightfully so. They made a lot of mistakes. But this is the difference of what this media is right now and what this media was last gen. When PlayStation came out with The Last of Us, not Detroit, but Heavy Rain and God of War 3 and all those, just basically the games towards the end of the season, because God of War came out earlier, but everybody gave PlayStation praise. They said that these are some of the best games that they've ever played. These are classics. These are instant classics. PlayStation is back on the right track. If this was this generation, this generation, and Xbox came with games that were just like The Last of Us and Heavy Rain, you know what the media would say now? What are the frame rates? What is the resolution? This character look kind of jagged. They wouldn't talk about how great the story was until later on, when everybody is not participating in buying the game, or they would be bringing up something about, well, where's the marketing deal, or there's inner fighting of something. They would bring up every damn thing else, and that's the thing that I'm saying that is totally different this gen with the media from last gen, because when PlayStation did something right, they gave it praise. And plus you had like the Adam Sesslers, you had the G4s, you had game trailers, you had people that reviewed games properly. They didn't go out and just say some shit just to get a rise on people. You see what I'm saying? That's what the difference is from then to now. Those are people that seem to really cared back then.
Don't you miss those days? Like people like Adam and stuff like that. Like,
man, I miss it.
I don't know, like the media really, the industry really needs somebody like that. I don't think you really appreciate it until it's like gone. If you know what I mean. And at the end of the day, getting that guy as a guest on GRG or next, that'd be a phenomenal.
Oh man,
to talk to. Yeah.
I might have to reach out to him, man. That would be bombshell. We have some really crazy things coming on GRG on the 2nd. I might as well just let it out here, and then I'll start promoting it here, coming out here. But we're going to have Porter Rock and Jabari on GRG coming on the 2nd. So that's not this coming up Friday, but the Friday after next. So yeah, that's going to be pretty damn interesting. And then after that, we have another guest that's going to be coming on. Of course, we're going to try to get Rain and Hebot, and you know what I'm saying, my boy Young Kano, LG. There's plenty of people that's been asking to come on. Triple Chuck, I can't say his name right. He be talking
Triple
fast
Cup
and shit.
Chuck.
Yes, Triple Chuck.
Yeah.
So
Triple Cup. Yeah, put one more word in there. One
yeah,
more word. Cup.
Just put Triple Chuck. That's it. Just say that shit. Anyway, but no, GRG is definitely about the podcast about the gamer, man. It doesn't matter what your affiliation is. So it's going to be fun. But yeah, no, I'm going to reach out to him, man. I'm going to see, you know what I mean? Because you never know until you try. So, you know, but that would be phenomenal.
Absolutely. Yeah, he'd be a great guy to talk about what does he think about media today. I bet you wouldn't hold back any punches either. No. Just because that part of his life is in the past now.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, and I think the only other media will continue to grow, but it would be guys that are listening to us, right? It would be the guys from GRG, Next, BGST and stuff like that, and you know, people are just going to subscribe to the type of flavor they like, right?
Right.
It really kind of go from there. And don't be wrong, there'll be click-based stuff there as well. But at the end of the day, guess what? It's optional content. You don't have to listen to it, and you can find somebody else that's got their act together. Yeah. And kind of go from there. And so that's the beauty is the consumer has more choices to find that stuff. And influencers are growing from independent people all the time. So
yeah. You know what? People are making some really good topics in the chat. You know what? We're gonna have to try to implement that phone number so people can call in. That would be hot. I really think that would be cool.
That phone number applies to this. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't.
Yeah, the number do apply to this. Yeah. So
because this is a GR. Just so you guys know, this is a GRG production. I think I just normally can't make it to the live show on Friday, and that's kind of what spawned this. So it is GRG. It's just, you know, it's a little more focused between the dev and the gamer, and but it is a GRG production. So
right. Yeah, so we might try to implement that in there because, you know, we definitely like reading your comments, but we would hear your comments and see what, you know, and see if we can relate and talk about whatever, because you know, it's not about just us, but it is, you know, it's about, you know, the community, because we're a part of the community as well. But Danny Boy said something that he said the media essentially is covering gaming just like how the media is covering politics. He is absolutely right. But the only problem is, though, Danny, is that there are different factions. There is no other factions, man. There's the only factions that support Xbox are people like me, Crap, BGST, or, you know what I'm saying, you know, Don. But you have everything else that's loving everything else. You see what I'm saying? There's not a whole bunch of factions that got in the media itself. There is no true Xbox place that you can go to and feel comfortable to listen to. I mean, Ryan McCaffrey, I used to listen to Unlocked podcast all the time, but it's nothing the same of what it used to be. You know what I mean?
The problem I have with Ryan McCaffrey, he's not even intelligent anymore. Like, and I'm not trying to be mean. Like, literally, when he said it was a marketing deal thing, regardless of what Destiny ends up being on Scorpio or not, it's totally unrelated, right? Or heard of any sort of marketing deal like that. And plus, the marketing deal was done way before Scorpio was even announced. So, like, you know, if he was an actual journalist, he would know these facts, right? And to be honest, even within, you know, someone can say give him a pass because you heard it through the grapevine, through knowing people in the industry. Yeah, I've heard a lot of things through the grapevine regards to the industry as well, right? Let's be honest. The guy that's writing the equivalent to the owner's manual online may not understand this stuff as well as somebody else, right? And that's, look where that sources are. So even the water cooler talk I've heard, like, man, I wouldn't even repeat that stuff, because even though it's technically a reputable source, it really is just bullcrap, right? It's just stuff that's fed through the grapevine, and it's, you know, there's no truth to it. So
so and that's the thing. So I mean, you know, other than that, then you have just podcasters that that just say that they have love for the X1, and it seems like it's us against the world. But you know what? I like it that way, because when things are good, and when Xbox do something wrong, we at least address that. You don't get that too much from the PlayStation side, from a lot of YouTubers that I listen to, and from GameSpots and the IGNs. But anyway, we're going to move on to the last topic, and that is Mike Ibarra, man. He I do like this new approach that these Xbox executives are having. Like, it seems like they're not taking any of this crap anymore. Like, there's people that just come up and, like you said, just make things up out of the blue. And I like that this staff is coming out and defending, what they put their blood, sweat, and tears behind. And so Mike Ibarra addressed and said that the consoles, the Xbox One, Fat, and the S, will not be the same as the Scorpio. It's up to the developers to make that call. But but when it comes down to, that's what the game, making the game. But when it comes to just absolute, the power inside, or when like, let's say Xbox makes a game, a first party game, that game is just going to look better on the Xbox Scorpio than it is on its predecessors. So
specifically, he was addressing frame rate.
Yeah.
Frame rate is not tied to the base model Xbox One S to the Scorpio. Earlier development documents led you to believe they were highly encouraging you to keep the frame rates locked in case of, like I say, multiplayer and stuff like that. But they're leaving it up to the developer. So yeah, this is good news. At the end of the day, when you pay more for something and the developer finds that that's an extra feature you can give that particular consumer base, I'm assuming you would all want that. You also don't want the older generation actually holding in the other one back, right?
Right.
But at the same token, they're also made it so it has to run on there. So if you had, like, say, something running at 60 frames per second, and let's say you ignored the One X, and it runs at like 24 or 25 frames per second, I have a feeling that's when Microsoft may step in and say, yeah, we know you can get 30. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think where they have a problem is when one platform is completely ignored versus the other.
Mm-hmm.
Realistically, I think where it really comes right down to on those early dev documents, and then people also mentioned about multiplayer and stuff like that, having them the same. And honestly, I think that's the easiest thing to do for the developer, to keep it the same on versus cooperative. Who cares? What does it matter if I have twice the many frame rates, say, like in a game like the controversial Destiny, and we're doing a strike together, and somebody else didn't want to spend the money and buy Scorpio.
Yeah.
He got the best performance out of that box can do, and I got the best performance out of my box. And neither one actually affects us being able to play together and have a good time. Does that make sense?
No.
So so I really think this is a kind of a good thing. I know people are overly concerned about it, and that's fine. I would say let's wait and see where it goes. And my thing was, and not be reactionary to this sort of stuff, right?
Mm.
They find out it's not working well, and they want to blame that sort of thing. They can, then they can articulate a point at that point, right?
Mm.
Where they're at on that, and that's fine too. But this is a good thing. I really think frame rate shouldn't be tied between the two, but there should be an expectation that just because you have a more powerful piece of hardware, you shouldn't make it run like crap, or vice versa, right? So as long as you don't do that, I think we're in a good spot. So
yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that if that's what it's supposed to be. If you buy better hardware, then it needs to be capable of showing you what you paid for, and that's all we ask for. So I don't see why people would would think that. I mean, they're so stuck on what happened with like in the beginning of this generation, where the 360 and the PlayStation 3 was holding back the 4 and the Xbox One with because they kept making games for both systems. But we're getting past that now. I don't. What was the last game that was made for the 360 and the PlayStation 3? Well, Persona 5 I know is one, but I can't think of the last Xbox game. Maybe Madden.
I think you're right. I mean, because the performance delta between the previous gen hardware and what we got now was too much of a gap.
Mm-hmm.
We progressed so much further in order to do that. But the performance delta, what you're getting, let's say the most extreme, the Scorpio in the ordinary Xbox, right? That's the low of the low of this gen, right?
Yeah.
And the high of the high of this gen, right? We're in a situation now where there's, at the base level Xbox, you're getting more performance out of something like that than any minimum spec out of a PC. So you're going to get quite a bit more time out of your current piece of hardware, even if you don't upgrade. Optimizing for old hardware, that older hardware is actually going to make the more powerful hardware run even better.
Mm-hmm.
And what people are also under this weird impression that they're just going to make. Why would they make all the? I mean, I heard this from Rand. So why are they going to make all? Why would they do all this extra work to make all these different assets per se, just for a Scorpio version? In reality check, the assets have already been created before the game even releases. To give you an idea, in my own personal game, the original art assets are 8K texture assets.
Woo! You said 8K?
8K texture assets.
Oh, wow.
We're talking characters within billions of polygons. So there's more polygons on a character than most game levels have in a modern day game now. But all that stuff is scaled back and optimized, right? So you work from the high end and you work your way down. That's how all that stuff works. So when we're talking about the Pro versus 4 and Scorpio versus Xbox One S, realistically, the only thing you need to scale back on the game is the assets. And the assets are already created at the high end. Choosing what version of the textures you're going to do. You're choosing what version of the lighting you're going to do, right? These are all optional type things. And it may take a little bit more effort, but really not much more. It really does, especially on the Xbox side. I feel the Scorpio side is going to improve over time. But I mean Scorpio, but the PlayStation 4 Pro is going to improve over time. I think this winter is kind of the true test of it, if they've been able to improve those tools. But games start at the high end and they work their way down, so the assets are always there. And even if a particular developer chooses not to do that, if you're even a Scorpio customer, you're going to get better texture filtering and way better anti-aliasing by default, even if the developer doesn't do anything. So you're going to get better looking games on that platform no matter what. So there shouldn't be this fear that people have about new pieces of hardware, and one's going to hold the other one back, or the other one's it's going to prevent the other person from doing something. It's just really not the case. It's just not realistic way of looking at how games are made.
Sub-Zero hit me up trying to play Gears, and you know how Sub-Zero will just constantly hit you up.
Oh, yeah.
Do-do-do-do, huh? What'd you say?
He's like a Jehovah's Witness, man. He won't let up. Man.
He will not let up until you convert. Man, it's crazy. So, excuse me if you keep hearing that do-do-do-do. Matter of fact, let me turn that down completely. Let me do that so I won't inconvenience people. It's because I'm pretty sure they're hearing my little fan in the background, my little rotating fan thing. But nobody ain't complained about it except for me. But okay.
Nah, that's not too bad. I've heard worse.
Yeah, definitely. LiveWire's not on here, so. LiveWire was actually there was no crazy sounds or anything. LiveWire is getting better, but he just but like he's like a dog on a leash that gets away, and and I'm not just running after him, man, because he just goes left sometimes. He just start talking and yapping. He's a nut, man. But much love to my boy,
like,
Livewire.
you cannot be in a party with Livewire and not be entertained. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, he's just a genuine, like, honestly, like, he's just a genuine nice guy. Like, you know, the dude teaches students.
Yeah, believe it or
Right?
not, yeah, he's a
Like,
teacher.
like,
Yeah.
he gives back to the community on, you know, and not everyone can say about their day job about doing that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I make entertainment. Like, that's nothing compared to what he does as far as society is concerned. So, good dude.
Yeah. So okay. So this is the thing. Okay, like most staff, right? He come and he says the Scorpio's not winning hearts. I'm not understanding that. You know, if all the buzz and the talk is about Scorpio, and even if there's the people that are the, you know, the haters of it, well, not so much the haters, but the people that they're not secure with what they've heard from about the Scorpio, that's still, you're still talking about it. If you didn't care about it, if it's not appealing, then why would you even bring up the Scorpio? You see what I'm saying?
Well, you know what's even funnier than that is everyone said you know, Phil Spencer mentioned that they feel their biggest seller is going to be Xbox One S, and I remember saying that before Phil even said that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, these other consoles they're complementary to the other, right? And so they help the whole ecosystem grow. In regards to that. Matter of fact, I even consider the PlayStation 4 Pro a success because just before the Pro, what was happening to Sony? They were getting beat on NVIDIA 4 months in a row, right?
Right.
And so that's how these hardware is going to be. Now, I think people are expecting the Scorpio to do better than the Pro did, and maybe really push the Xbox sales. We'll see. I feel it will, but, you know, we'll see on that front. But the big seller is going to be the S. Absolutely, is going to be the S.
Because it's going to drop down in price, and yeah, the Scorpio will outperform the Pro. Will outsell the Pro because the Pro is not selling very well. People, you know, the PlayStation was a little bit too arrogant last year. You know, I said this earlier on Next, but they were a little bit too arrogant. They came out with all this hardware and they were just thinking that we could just pile it on. We don't really have any games to come out for the end of the year, so we'll just give you all this hardware. And people gravitated to the thing that they were most familiar with, and that was the Slim, that, you know, because it had a DVD player. You know, they wanted to watch their movies. You know, so how can you have a console that's going to be $400 and not have that in there? You know, and they thought that they could be slick with that. It didn't work, and now you could tell that the Pro was rushed because the games are not performing better. Games are performing better on the vanilla PlayStation 4 and on the Slim. So I'm glad that I got my Slim. You know, I just was refused to pay that $400 for the Pro. I mean, you know, Z was telling me, no, man, go ahead and get the Pro, man. You got a 4K television. No, I just don't trust it. And I'm glad I didn't. Now, if they have a new Pro come out, as what has been rumored for next, at E3, and they come out with a disk drive, things like that, then I might consider it then, because I know that they will patch up the work, and then I'm like, okay, I can actually get some.
Well, don't expect anything to be different other than the player is my prediction.
Really? Oh,
yeah. You got to keep in mind, it takes 2 or 3 years to develop new chips, right? Like in a box like that, they're people are assuming, basically, and this is what makes me giggle a little bit, right? They're assuming, because they want the PlayStation brand to do a little bit better or be the most dominant or whatever it may be. They're assuming that they were working on VR, PS4 Pro, and let's go, just for the argument, it's called PS4 Pro, right?
Yeah.
People are
Pro.
Yeah. At some point, it is true they're making another Pro, right? That's not just a drive difference. You're literally talking about 2 years of overlap with 3 pieces of hardware in development. Like, they just companies like having that much money, it just doesn't exist in regards, and even Microsoft doesn't throw that much money at something like that, and they have deeper pockets, right?
Right.
So, that's just not realistic. Will they have another successor past the Pro? Sure, they will. What is it? They released last year was 2016. So 2019 most likely is when you'll see whatever successor is to the Pro, and more or less they'll go from there, and that's fine. In the meantime, this is what we get as gamers, and they just need to do everything they can to make games run as best as they possibly can on that platform, and aid the people that make games for their platform as much as possible. I mean, that's really their job at this point. So.
Yeah, well, and the people that are thinking that there's going to be a PlayStation 5 next year is absolutely insane. Like, I mean, would you want a PlayStation 5 to come out next year? I mean, no. It makes no sense financially. And then what you're doing is that you're underpowering the PlayStation 5 because it's only going to compete with the Scorpio, and the Scorpio is a mid-gen system. It's not a new. It's not like the Xbox 2 or whatever the hell the new Xbox is going to be.
I wish we could get away from the term like mid-gen. Like, literally, gens are done. They literally are.
The gen is done. Xbox has been wanting to get to this point because PlayStation's been curb stomping them this generation horribly.
These are basically soft launch. Let's be hypothetical. Let's say they dropped the PS4 and they dropped standard Xbox support. I don't think they're going to do that because we've gotten to the point at the base level. Things are still powerful enough. I don't think that will ever happen. But let's be hypothetical and say, okay, they did do that. Realistically, the more powerful hardware, it's really going to be on a 3 or 4 year cycle until we get the next thing, and you get the next thing, and I just don't see them dumping support from the other one because really we're at the point. The only thing that's holding back is scalability of the assets. The only other thing would be like on the AI level. And that's all going to be cloud-based down the road. People make jokes around about that, but that because the CPUs haven't made any quantum leaps and doesn't look like they're going to be doing anything next 10 years or so anyways from normal consumer standpoint. The only way to get better AI is through cloud-based. I mean, you're seeing it in Forza.
Yeah.
We take it for granted all the time. Like, look at the AI in Forza. It's phenomenal. I've never played any racing game on the planet that has AI like that. And it's all based on driving habits of, like, literally, like, there's over hundreds of thousands of individual AI. But, I mean, think about that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah.
So, I mean, realistically, the future is visuals, and that's a slow burn. We're not getting these quantum leap jumps anymore. That's not going to happen.
No.
It's just small refinement. When I can optimize an 8K texture asset, and and if I do my job correctly, and reduce it down to something of 4K texture asset, and I show it to people and they can't see the difference, I've done my job, right? So as I said, it's going to be a slow burn from there. It's just small little touches here and there that are going to make games look visually better, but all that stuff's going to be scalable.
Yeah, and games will be bigger as well. So the games will become bigger, and they'll be more polished, I guess. I mean, I think it's going to be about more detail. Like, I mean, if do you got Injustice done?
No, that's on my list.
That is a beautiful game. That is definitely got to be up there. One of the best looking games this generation, hands down. The facial captures of these characters, the look. Like, I was just before we got on, I was playing the story mode, and I was Flash, and I was going against, I think, Dr. Cold or whatever, and then there was a scene where Flash and that other alternative Flash, they were running around, and they were running around, and then no, that was before. I'm sorry, that was before. There was when you fought Cold shot him, Deadshot shot him, and then he got up, and then he was hurt, and then they were talking, and then it was the cutscene, and it just panned over to the fight, and there was no difference. It looked so damn good. It's amazing. Yes.
Between the cutscene and the and that's what's funny about that game. That's on a dated version of Unreal. So games are getting better looking than that. Trust me.
Oh man, see, and that's bizarre. But I'm talking about for right now. That has to be one of the best looking games that I've ever seen. We're talking about a fighter.
One of the better fighting games I've seen.
It's the best fighting game I've ever seen. There's no fighting game I've ever seen look like this.
Exactly. So that's the way I look at it. But that's a perfect example. But it's impressive, but it's not like where you're surprised, right? Like it's just like, oh, that's good, right? And you move extra a little bit, and it's just how it's going to be as far as all that stuff is concerned. So it's just small little things, but all that stuff is scalable.
Yeah.
60 frames to 30 frames, or you're talking, instead of putting this level of texture assets, you lower the texture level assets. And AIs and a lot of stuff's going to be moved to the cloud. Anything where you run into limitations of what the CPU can do, that's not latency heavy, will move eventually to the cloud. And that's where Sony really needs to invest a lot too, as well. Even if they don't go for like Azure servers, they go with some other solution that's out there. Because without that, without the cloud, the gaming's going to be held back. At the end of the day, that's the biggest thing holding gaming back is the CPU, and the only thing way that's going to get better is through cloud.
Yeah. No, that's there was somebody that said, "Oh yeah, Reverse Flash." I don't. Yeah, I'm more into the Marvel. When I read comics, I was more into Marvel than I was DC. I'm actually learning DC characters on the fly by watching like old school Batman, the animation, and Superman, and all that, and Batman Beyond, and then playing this or watching something. I've never been like really deep into the DC universe until just maybe 6-7 years ago. So appreciate that, because I didn't even know that there was a Reverse Flash until I played the first Injustice, or I watched the animation, the Paradox, it was the Justice League Paradox or something like that. Really good. Check that animation out. That was so dope. And then that was the Reverse Flash.
They have the Flash series on Netflix. I think the first 2 seasons on it. It's actually pretty good.
Is it? I haven't watched it.
Yeah, it's worth checking out. But because it's just comic book shit.
All right.
But yeah, it's good.
Cool.
I was going to check it out.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and get ready to wrap it up. But I do want to ask you one question, though, before we go. And that was regarding Sega. You know what I'm saying? You were a Sega fan, weren't you, Don?
Yeah, I played a fair share of their games and stuff like that.
Okay. Now, did you
enjoyment on the console?
Did you hear about this? Sega was saying that they're going to spend $500 million on a new IP, and they're going to bring back Sega classics. How does that make you feel? And what game would you think that they would be spending? That's a lot of coin, man.
Well, as you said, it's a new IP, right?
Well, they said a new IP and Sega classics.
Oh, so that's okay. So all under one umbrella.
Yeah, the whole $500 million is under.
I think a lot of times as gamers, we get in this weird little trap where we used to be versus what it actually is now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it's funny. You mentioned Sega. I'm more of a Nintendo kid and that sort of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love the old Nintendo, but I realize the old Nintendo is not what we have today, right?
Right.
And so that's why I'm able to distance myself with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can say the same thing with Capcom, right? Capcom's not the company that you and I probably enjoyed, right?
Oh yeah.
By today's standards, so we get when we get excitement when like they're like, oh yeah, we're coming back, and we want to root for them because
that
especially
nostalgia,
that whole nostalgia,
mm-hmm.
and they're capable. Like, the name has been capable in the past, right? Even though it's not the same entity, if you really kind of look at it. I think Sega is capable of doing it. I just don't know what part of their really holding them back, right? It's not they don't have IPs. They have IPs, for days, right?
Right.
If they're just investing in the wrong things that don't really convert to 3D, aka Sonic.
Well, we're going to get Sonic. We're going to get probably about 4 or 5 Sonic games, which is, jeez.
Off when they went 3D, right? Because they couldn't figure out how to make that transition.
Mm-hmm.
So what part of their company structure that they're missing the boat on greenlighting projects, right? Or getting the certain talented teams, or they're just building the wrong things in general. What's holding all that up is where I'm more curious, because if they address those sort of things, those hurdles, right, or restructure internally within the company, I can see the great things coming for them.
Yeah, well,
whatever's holding them back, I just don't see it happening, and I want to. I just don't see it happening.
I think what's hurting them is what's kind of hurt Konami is, and also Capcom, is that they want that hit first title that's like Call of Duty or Overwatch, whatever. That's just that overnight success, and so they're so afraid of bringing back those old IPs that they got good money off of, but not the money that they're really expecting. And instead of them bringing back any of those beloved classics and just promoting the hell out of it and putting love and care into those games, and that would go well with everybody. If you bring like a Streets of Rage and you put all the assets that you can in to make it one of the best looking games and playing games that we've ever played with a street brawler, because I think that's one genre that hasn't been used right yet.
Did they own Streets of Rage, or was it just on their platform?
That I couldn't tell you. That I don't know. I thought that was theirs.
I know I know they own Ultra Beast or whatever, and because they're from the Sega's from the era of where they had exclusives. No.
Yeah. So Vector Man.
Vector Man.
Earthworm Jim. Plasma.
Don't own Earthworm Jim.
You don't.
That was on there.
That was on what? You broke up.
They don't own Earthworm Jim.
Oh, okay. All right.
That was on everything.
Oh, that was on everything.
It's probably most popular on their platform, but it was on everything.
You know what? Let me because like I said, we're about to get ready to wrap it up. We went longer than what we anticipated. We're almost at an hour and a half. We always do. We do. Let me try to type this in right fast.
What do we got? Jet Force Radio, Crazy Taxi.
Oh, you already typed it in?
Space Channel 5.
Oh, that's my shit. Hey, look. Hey, I know.
Do they own Vanquish?
Oh, Vanquish would be perfect. What?
Vanquish would be the one I would want them to put in, because that's the most recent one, and it didn't reach its potential.
It didn't. And check this out, though. Vanquish is coming on the PC, and just like Bayonetta did, and that would be the game. I bet you that's the game that they're going to put a lot of work in. And I hope that game could come the backwards capability on Xbox. That would be huge. That would be great. What else is that they have?
Vanquish is my vote. I think they still own Chimu, even though they give that guy permission to kind of do his own thing.
Yeah.
The Toe Jam and Earl.
Dope. Bring that back. Yes.
Earl would be sweet. They own Comic Zone. Remember Virtual Cop?
Yeah, I remember Virtual Cop. Yeah. Oh, I bet. Don't they have the game that's it's a shooter? House of the Dead.
I don't remember. Was that like another light gun shooter?
Yeah, that was another gun. That would be crazy, especially with VR.
Golden Axe, don't they?
Yeah, they got Golden Axe.
They also remember the Knights game.
Yeah, oh yeah, they could bring back. But see, they did bring back Knights, but that Knights didn't sell well at all. I think Knights is beyond its time. But they could bring a Prancer Dragon.
Yes, they could do that. What is it? Also, they have some. Man, their Sega Rally series was phenomenal. I remember loving that.
Oh yeah, I loved Sega Rally.
Also did Afterburner.
Oh damn, they had Afterburner. That's right. Yeah, but you know what? I don't see Sega trying to get into the racing. The racing bit. I mean, they could. But you don't see Streets of Rage in there because Streets of Rage is
I'm not seeing it, but it doesn't necessarily mean.
Oh, Streets of Rage has got to come back, man. That's one genre that needs to make a comeback in a big way, and that's the beat 'em up style. And I don't think that would cost a lot of money to really make, but to make it look like stupid hot, like because it's basically you don't have to have a lot of AI that's really smart. I mean, you could, but until you get to the boss fight, and then the boss is a kick-ass dude. But man, those brawler games, those would sell like hotcakes, man. I'm telling you, people love those type of games. I don't think those type of games ever get old.
And I always have this philosophy. I don't think any genre dies.
Mm-hmm.
They phase a little bit out in popularity and get overshadowed by something else, like the new hotness, right?
Yeah.
But point of interest, which is pretty much every Telltale game, right? That came back out of nowhere, right? Because genres just don't die. It just doesn't happen. And I really think he's sort of for me, it would be a Double Dragon, like that checks my boxes. But imagine a modern day version, done right, good quality assets. Take on gameplay, those sort of things. You know what I mean? I really think there's a lot of potential there, but people just, they're afraid to take those risks. So, I don't know. I think Vanquish would be the one I would say if they put a lot of money into, I would be excited about. So
that'd be dope. Okay, I had a country moment. For every time that I miss say or if I just say something, I said miss say, good Lord, that's another one. If I say something like the title of a game wrong, like I was saying Forza, say it instead of Forza, I get lit up. So now I'm getting lit up by Rain saying it's Panzer Dragon, not Panzer. I was trying to say Panzer. I was trying to say Panzer.
If it makes you feel any better, I have been saying it wrong this whole entire time then.
Okay, yeah. So, hey, all right. You know what I'm saying? Panzer Dragoon. That's it. Dragoon. So, anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I you know what? I got that the Xbox One early version of, the day one version. I think it came out like that first week on the Xbox One of Panzer Dragoon or whatever. Did you get to play that?
That one wasn't good.
I got it. I just never played it. I never played it because everybody told me that it wasn't good. So
I mean, if you like the original, don't make that your last memory of the series.
Okay.
Just don't do it. I think it was a Games for Gold too. It was given once, and I own it, and I'm just like, I can't install that. I just gotta leave it there. It's in my library. So.
Oh man, yeah, it's in there. So just like Halo Assault, it's like, oh, this is hideous. So
yeah, no, it's not even that. It's
Crimson Dragon. That's what it was.
Yeah, imagine you ever had those sequels that came soon after a successful one?
Yeah.
And they screw up the mechanics enough that you're just like, ooh. What did they do?
Yeah, Toshinden 4 comes to mind. When they had Michael Jackson in there, I said this game is done. Even though I played the hell out of it, but when they had the Michael Jackson character in Toshinden 4, it was over. It was done.
It's just like that. It's just like a sequel that came out too soon and under budget, and it messes with the play mechanics, and it just doesn't play correctly. And But the thing is, it's not a game that came out just after Panzer Dragon or Panzer or whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
It's something that came out almost 20 years later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's messed up. That's where it was a bummer. Like that game had a lot of potential.
Yeah, a lot. Ninja Gaiden. That's what I call it, Ninja Gaiden. Or some people call it Gaiden. Ninja Gaiden, but Ninja Gaiden, Ninja Gaiden.
I may be wrong on this. We'll probably have Livewire correct us on this one, but I believe it's Gaiden.
Yeah, it could be Ninja Gaiden. I mean, it's just like Ray Hayabusa. Some people call him something different. Tomato. People understand, like people I call him Ryu. Other people call him Ryu or something like that. They kind of change his name or whatever. I don't know. But, I say Ninja Gaiden. I'm country. Let me be country. So what? You got it. Well, anyway, on that note, man, we had a blast, man. Thank you guys so much for stopping by and saying what's up. Yes. Battle Arena Toshinden. Oh, that was your first PS1 game? Man, Tekken was my very first time playing a PlayStation 1 game at my homeboy's house. And I said, what is this? And then we played 989. What was it? It was a football game. It was made from 989. Game Day, NFL Game Day. And we played that. Man, I played that all night. It was during Christmas vacation. And I was like, oh snap, I gotta get one. And I asked my mom, could I get one? And she told me, boy, you better get a job. And I got my ass a job. And I got my PlayStation, man, PlayStation 1. Because it was either that or the Saturn. And the Saturn at that time was too much money. So I was like, man, let me go ahead and get this PlayStation because of this,
I remember it was
Tekken game.
But how much more was Saturn than the PlayStation? Do you remember?
It was about like close to $150, $200. It was like Sega came in really cocky. Sega came in really cocky with the Saturn.
Well, they also didn't have as many games either.
No, and that was
like that. I just remember like going into a Blockbuster, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was Sega and Sony out of the gate before the N64 hit. And when a new piece of hardware, they're selling like a couple of games on the shelf, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember seeing from maybe 5 or 6 months in, but both pieces of hardware there.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, you just saw PlayStation aisle start to grow.
Yeah.
Right, and it just kept growing. I'm like, oh, this ain't good, because I was holding out for an N64.
Mm.
And then I got the N64, which I still enjoyed, but man, I messed out. I should have also got myself a PlayStation 1 for first round before I picked up the N64.
No, man, it was the most. Okay, the PlayStation 1 and the original X, but see, I played the original Xbox late. Like it was almost like not even a year until the 360 came out. That's how late I was into the Xbox, the OG Xbox era. But my homeboy picked up Halo. But PlayStation 1, the OG Xbox, the Dreamcast, and then it's the Sega CD for me because I loved Eternal Champions CD and the game called Supreme Warrior. Couldn't tell me nothing. Those 5 were my best times in gaming history for me. I know a lot of people love the PlayStation 2, and the PlayStation 2 was cold, but I was still playing. I was still playing on the on older stuff, man. I couldn't ever stop playing my PlayStation 1, man. I loved it.
Honestly, like there's something special about the PlayStation 1.
Yeah.
It was a couple just little things like of the era and the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was a huge library. You were really going to 3D, right? That was a big jump, right? Like games were different because of that, right? They were overall like just a new experience. The controller wasn't really that revolutionary or anything like that, but it had like the pistol grips, so it felt fresh and it felt new. To burn your music on it. They were able to do all these different things.
It was just so much thing. And that was no, go ahead, I'm sorry.
What?
Oh no, what I was gonna say was that I played I seen Madden for the first time, and then I seen another football game. I think it was NFL Fever. But I think it had like Peyton Manning on the cover, I believe. And I was like, what is this? And then that's when my homeboy was like, man, it's this Xbox thing. It's a Microsoft thing. Like, oh, man, PlayStation got this locked. I was a diehard PlayStation dude. That's why I crack up when they just say, you Xbox, you X-Fag. I be dying because I'm like, man, if they knew how diehard about PlayStation I was when the PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 era, it was no question. You could tell me nothing. And so, but when I played those games, and then I played Brute Force, I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then the mighty Halo came out, and then my whole world was turned around after that. Like I couldn't, I stopped playing Power Stone, and I loved Power Stone. What'd you say?
Halo 3.
Halo 3 was your game?
Halo 3 was my first Halo.
Oh my God! What? Woo.
Yeah, I totally missed out on Halo 1 and 2. Like I wasn't having it. I'm like, what is this game?
Oh man.
Yeah, I didn't get sucked in until later. I mean, obviously, I think that's the reason why I'm not as burnt out on the series like a lot of other people are.
Oh, I'm not burnt out.
I'm not. People that there's a little bit of franchise fatigue for them. It's not that they don't enjoy it; they're so overly critical. I'm not nearly as critical because I think I'm a late adopter.
Yeah. No, see, Rain, I have to disagree. See, look at this, man. See, this has definitely got to be a topic for next time. I'll probably ask this topic to DRG. Yeah, Sewer Shark was the shit. Now, look, I mean, the second CD was expensive. And I thank my mother for getting for me for Christmas. I played that thing like no other, man. Especially there was 4 games that I played, man, like crazy, and that was Bill Walsh's College Football. There was Eternal Champions. There was Sonic, and then there was Night Trap. And I've heard that Night Trap is coming back, and I'm like, hell yeah, it's on and popping. I played the hell out of the Sega CD, man. And I would rent games and stuff, but those 4 games I play all the time, man. But no, the PlayStation 1, man, it just had so many classic games for me. And then when the Dreamcast came and they had those games, and I was like, oh man, like Ready to Rumble and Shimu, and oh god, Lee, there's just too many. But anyway, man, we're gonna have to wrap this up, man. This was fun as hell. Go ahead and give your little parting shout outs, Don. Let everybody know where they can find you.
I saw a couple people that are kind of new to me, so if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's the Don _ KTR on Twitter. And if you want to do the YouTube channel thing and all that sort of stuff, it's all going to be tied to my Twitter. You can even look at my portfolio that's on there. All that stuff's there. But my YouTube channel is going to start popping pretty quick. I've been putting a lot of work behind the scenes to make certain things go. So you'll see a little bit more on YouTube on my personal channel. But the best way to find all that stuff is on my Twitter. So just follow me there.
Yes, no doubt. Oh my God, he said the game that I love to hate, and that was Parasite Eve. Oh my God, I loved the game until it got to the end, and this damn boss at the end kept changing. Like I think it changed like 4 or 5 times. It took me all day to kill that creature. It kept on transforming. Like you kill it like, okay, that was easy, then it did it again, okay, I've seen this before, then it do it again, and like I got it.
Mo Chef's just trying to get a rise out of you, man. I mean, he knows how to say Parasite Eve, and he's going to start talking about Tekken, how Tekken sucks, and he's just going to get you all work.
Tekken is life.
And then he's also going to mention Locke, man.
Y'all, now see, we can't do that. We can't talk about the mighty Agent Locke. We're going to get out of here.
You and me both like Locke, so yes. There's no discussion there. We both like him. So.
Yeah. So anyway, man, as for me, of course, you're watching my channel. Please subscribe if you have not subscribed. That would be, I would appreciate it very much. Also, subscribe to the GRG channel. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of talent there, and check out everybody that's doing stuff. Our boy Fonzarelli, he's our PlayStation guy. He has been putting in a lot of work, and then the sponsors that we have, man, it's just bizarre. So, you know, and big shout out to Delilah HD, Lady Infamous, Xbox 448, Livewire, and All Day Pony Fur Digital. We'll probably hop on and play some Xbox with that fool here in a little bit. So, man,
yeah, just don't be fooled by that guy. All he does is play Xbox. He doesn't play.
He's always
he's
been playing Persona, man. He's been losing himself a little bit. So
does he like that?
He loves it. He loves it.
It's a game that he likes. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So anyway,
I can never tell if he's being genuine or not. So that's why I got to ask.
No, he loves it. Yeah, he's always joking, but yeah, he really loves that game. So anyway, everybody have a good night, man. Peace.
Later.